Hello guys, this is Rito here, and today we are taking another deep dive into WARCRY. Just this time it's going to be on the monsters and mercenary subject. I'm planning on releasing two videos today, and for this first one we'll be taking a look at the Order mercenaries and at the Chaos mercenaries, and then hopefully in the evening you'll be able to see the Death and Destruction mercenaries. So what I really want to check out here is which mercenaries are worth bringing with which warband. Do they add anything you might really lack in a warband, and just see their usual overall combat prowess and so on. I want to give a little shout out to Byule1984 on Reddit, who pointed out that this might be an interesting thing to look at. Okay, so let's have a look then. Starting off with the Chaos guys. So first off, we've got the actual Slaves to Darkness allies. As you can see, the Dark Oath Chieftain, he does a whopping 9.3 damage per activation. That's crazy. That is really high. And as you can see here, even at his point value, that is still in the top kinds of damage. He's also quite durable at 5 activations to be killed, and again that's very point effective. Sadly, I don't like his skill as much. I'm just going to talk about the skills I've put some words behind here. I think most of the others aren't quite worth mentioning and don't add a lot to any warbands. Okay, so let's talk about the Dark Oath War Queen, because she's a bit of a different story. Her damage is lower because I think she has one less attack. Still good damage, don't get me wrong, that this is still very good. So well worth her points. Also in survivability, she has 1 point in toughness more, so even more survivable. In terms of her points value, I think she's very worth it, especially since she has an ability that buffs the movement of friendly troops nearby. Now, I think that's worth mentioning because this is going to be very strong if you bring her with, for example, a Nurgle warband who are pretty slow, or Chaos Warriors and don't want to run the Horsemen, and so on. So I think she's going to be very good at helping you get that extra movement on the slower movement warbands. Yeah. Then we've got the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Something interesting is that all sorcerers in the Monsters and Mercenary book have the exact same attack profile. They only get 2 attacks at range 7 with a strength of 3 and 3/6 damage. So even though the damage is high with the low attacks and low strength, the average damage these guys will put out is pretty low, so they are at 3.1 per average activation. That means that he is actually not worth his point value in terms of damage dealt. His ability is also not that great, and therefore I would not advise bringing the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. The Chaos Lord, on the other hand, he gets the same ability the Dark Oath War Queen gets, and an additional one which adds damage, which isn't just as good, I think. But again, he does very good damage, 7.6, quite nice. He's also needs 5 activations to be killed. In this instance though, because he is higher points, this is a bit of a detriment to his points value for survivability. But I still think with the extra move and the high damage output, he might be worth it. Although you could probably just opt to go for the Dark Oath War Queen and do just as well for a few less points. Anyways, then we've got the Great Bray Shaman. He's got the same attack profile as all the other wizards, 3.1 damage. That's also, again, pretty bad for the points he costs. However, he does get the skill Devolve, it's called, I think. And that can make an opponent move towards you. So it's very similar to to the triple ability the Untamed Beasts get, although it's not a triple, it's a double, I think. And it just pulls an opponent towards you, which I've seen be very useful in many battles so far, so I think this pull is quite strong. Yeah, and again, good survivability, but that's something all of these guys share basically. There's none that aren't very survivable. Most heroes have 25 wounds at least, if not 30, so yeah. Anyways, he's pretty survivable. Horrible damage, but at least he's got this quite nice pull. Then we've got the Aspiring Deathbringer. This is the Khorne guys, and there's a lot of Khorne guys actually. There's 6 heroes for Khorne here. The Aspiring Deathbringer at 9.3 damage, that's massive again. It's just like the Dark Oath Chieftain. Yeah, and again, for his point value, that's very, very good. Yeah, nothing else to say there really. And we've got the Exalted Deathbringer with Spear. His range is a bit better, obviously, but he trades for almost 2 points in damage, which puts him down to a bit of a lower tier here. And since they are both very high survivability anyways, I don't think you need the Spear as much for this guy. Then we've got the Exalted Deathbringer with Axe, and yeah, kind of a similar deal. His damage is a little worse than the Aspiring Deathbringers, and yeah, that just gets him to a bit of a worse spot in terms of damage. Then we've got the Skull Grinder. His damage is lowest out of all the Khorne heroes, and yeah, that's also reflected in damage per point value. He's the lowest point value out of them. Doesn't really add anything of value, so I think I'd not go for this guy. And we've got the Slaughter Priest with Axe. He has Blood Boil, which is actually a quite good ability as well. Maybe I should have put it here, but anyway, so that's a ranged damage ability, which is actually quite strong, but I think it only comes on a quad as well. Anyways, he does very good damage in melee as well, and is quite survivable. The Slaughter Priest with Hammer does a tiny bit less damage, but nothing severe. He also has a pull ability, just like Devolve, basically. He can also pull fighters towards him, which again I think adds a lot of value. Then we've got the Tzeentch heroes, and they are quite a different story. As you can see, all of them are basically mages, so they've all got the 3.1 damage characteristics, which for their points is really pitiful. Especially the Zangoid, the Ogroid, and the Khorne Summoner on the disc. They cost a lot of points, and dealing this kind of horrible low damage is just not good. In defense of the Ogroid, at least he has very good survivability. 7 is very high, but still for his points cost, that's in quote-unquote only good. Combined with this horrible damage output and no very good abilities, I don't think he's worth bringing at all. Kind of the same thing goes for the Khorne Summoner. He's cheaper, therefore his 3.1 damage isn't as horrible, but yeah, still not worth bringing. Then we got the Grey Seer and the Clawlord for the Skaven. Grey Seer, same kind of deal as the Tzeentch heroes, just low damage on his ranged attack, bad damage per point value, and both of the Skaven heroes are the least survivable out of the pack, so I don't know if he's really worth it at all. And we've got the Clawlord. The Clawlord does a lot more damage. He's on the 7.6, which is something like most of the heavy hitting guys have, but being pretty cheap, that actually puts him into the highest tier of damage per point value. So I think he might be worth bringing, especially since I also like his triple, which lets him attack, gives him a bonus attack action and a bonus disengage, so it might keep him fighting a bit longer as well. So yeah, I like him. Then we've got the Lord of Plagues and the Lord of Blights, so the Nurgle heroes. Their damage output is pretty low. They are melee heroes, but still their damage output is like that of like yeah, it's lower than all of the other melee heroes is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, that's reflected over here. Damage per point value is low. They are very, very survivable. There's 9 activations to be killed by my exemplary opponent. That is a lot. So very, very tough to take down, but that's not something Nurgle needs at all, and I don't think most of the Chaos Warbands do. So I don't really see him adding a lot of value at all. Okay, so that was that. Then let's have a quick look at the Order mercenaries. Those are a lot less, so we should get through these pretty quickly. We've got another 6 heroes just for Stormcast, then we've got 2 for Sisters of Slaughter, sorry, no, what's it called? Daughters of Cain, and 3 for Idoneth. So, what all of these Stormcast guys share is that they are incredibly survivable. As you can see, all of them have 7 and 8 activations to be killed. All of them very, very good value for their points in terms of survivability. However, the damage of most of them is pretty bad considering how many points they cost. Only Lord Celestant is on a good damage value. The Knight Quest isn't bad at all. You could still take him and get away with it. But yeah, I don't like these guys as much. The Knight Vexillor, I think he could be very good because he has an ability that gives all allies in range extra movement, and especially looking at the warrior chamber for the Stormcast, for example, or the mage chamber as well, they don't have a lot of movement at all. 4 move is the highest they've got. The warriors have a lot of movement, 3 even. So being able to buff them with a Knight Vexillor to get them across the field quicker is going to be quite strong, I think. So maybe think about taking this guy. Then we've got the 2 Daughters of Cain heroes, the Hag Queen and the Slaughter Queen. And I just don't know why you'd ever bring the Hag Queen over the Slaughter Queen. The Slaughter Queen is a few more points, but her damage output is just so much better. 3 points more damage on an average activation. And that puts her in the highest tier of damage, the only one out of all of these heroes actually to be there. So if you're looking for some high punching damage potential, look no further and take the Slaughter Queen as an ally. Thinking about it, who could need this? Well, I think maybe the Caradron, if they want something to fight in melee stronger. Yeah, I don't know. Even the Daughters of Cain, they could do with this, to be honest. Something I'd also like to put out there is that the Fire Slayers, they could really do with the Knight Vexillor as well, because they are slow, and having this movement buff would be quite nice for them. Anyways, then we get to the Idoneth Deepkin heroes, and the Tidecaster on 3.1 damage per activation. That's again pretty bad. It's the same ranged attack all of the casters have. Yeah, I think her only ability is reducing one enemy's attack characteristic by 1, which doesn't sound too bad, but I don't think she's really worth a point, especially comparing her to the Soul-Render, who only costs 10 points more, does a lot more damage, like double the damage, and he gets a net ability. So I might have mentioned in previous videos, I really like fighters who are able to stop opponents from moving. I think you can get a lot of value out of that. Just choosing one strong opponent model and freezing it in place, basically rendering it useless for a turn, is very strong. And I think the Soul Render is really up there with the best allies you can get. Then we've got the Soul Scryer. Weirdly enough, he's a melee hero, and I mean his damage isn't bad, but it's not. Oops, sorry, but it's not great either. And his survivability isn't that great. His ability is pretty horrible. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Soul Scryer is not really good at all. Anyways, so I really hope I could give you a good insight on some of the allies, which ones you might want to bring for your warbands. I've tried to to find the ones that might add value other than just being good by themselves. So yeah, let me know what you think, and really appreciate you watching. Hope to see you again next time. Bye.